you on the African scene. The politics of succession in Africa, the crisis of stability and power. How critical is this?
Police arrested 12 people for the violence in Johannesburg, while 8 others were arrested.
Africa's most populous nation and largest economy was recently added to the Trump administration's controversial visa and travel bans list. Now the ban, which is one of the U.S. president's signature policies, now includes 5 other countries as well as Nigeria, which have been blocked from obtaining certain types of visas. So what does this portend for Africans in diaspora and the continent? Is it time for African leaders to look inwards more than ever? And is it a blessing in disguise? My name is Henry Williams. Join us after the break for the agenda.
Why we're here, it's about these 3 things. We're here because of the man. We're here because of the message. We're here because of the mandate.
Who is the man, Jesus Christ? What is your conviction about his personality and purpose?
Once these 3 factors are clear to you, you'll be unshakable.
As you listen to this outstanding 3-series DVD, The Man, the Message, and the Mandate, your journey of life will become even more glorious.
What you have to do now is to live for Jesus. You can't live for yourself anymore. If you truly love Jesus, then you must live for him.
This DVD by Pastor Chris is available now. To order, please call the number now showing on your screen. Experience the liquid love of our Lord Jesus Christ flow in and through you. It's also available on the Pastor Chris Digital Library app on the Google Play Store and Apple Store.
Many people long for success. They desire to do something with their lives, to make a difference in society, to become famous, or to become great. We all have the want to move from ordinary to extraordinary, to make the leap from good to great, to turn the seed of greatness that is in us into a fruitful field, and to fulfill the call of God upon our lives. From Reverend Dr. Chris Oyakhilome comes this new and riveting book, The Power of Your Mind. Do you want to do something extraordinary with your life? See, God has given you an excellent tool to use in your journey of greatness. It is called your mind. Learn how to walk in divine excellence through the power of a renewed mind. Get your copy of The Power of Your Mind today.
All right, great to have you back. You're still watching The Agenda. And don't forget that you can watch us on the go at www.loveworldplus.tv. On today's show, we take a look at the recent travel ban that includes Nigeria and other African countries as well. What does this portend for Africans in diaspora? Is it a blessing in disguise? Okay, and is it time African nations and leaders started looking inward and stopped crying about, being refused or being ostracized from other nations? Well, joining me on today's edition of the show, I have 2 wonderful gentlemen who usually come on The Agenda, and it's great to have them back and talking about Dayo Fagbolu joins me. Thank you very much, Dayo, for coming in.
It's a pleasure.
And as well as Dikpo Oyewole. It's great to see you.
Good to be here again.
Fantastic. Gentlemen, the recent visa ban, quite a controversial one, has been a source of hue and cry. Many, many realms, especially in Africa. Many Africans having diverse reactions to this. Some saying that it's a welcome development. It's time for us to actually build, the home front and, stop crying over spilt milk. While others think that, look, this is targeted, a racially targeted policy and all of that. Well, let me start with Dio. Dio, what are your thoughts?
I think it's a bit of both. I think it's a blessing at one end, and I think at the same time it's more like a curse. I don't know whether you want me to expatiate on that.
Please.
Now, for starters, I think it gives us an opportunity to look inwards and question ourselves, reflect on where we're at and why we're here. It's also an opportunity to actually, improve things.
Okay.
At the same time, it's also a restrictive process. Anything that holds people back, that restricts movement and activity, you must remember that it also restricts the transfer of knowledge and technology. So I guess it's, like I said, it's a bit of both for me.
There's a bit of both for you, a mixed grill for Dio. Let me go to Dipo.
Yeah, so
what's your
interestingly, it's also a bit of both. And yes, from the racial perspective of it, I'd say yes. But for me, I'll go and choose to dwell on the other side of it, which is we should look inward. Because even if we're talking about it being racially targeted, I mean, it does say a lot when you look at a nation like Nigeria with our population and our stance in the continent and our influence on the continent as we think we have, to add us to that list. And I was quite fascinated by the reactions from the various governments of the various nations that were involved. I mean, government of Eritrea, they had a very stern statement, it was obvious that they were quite upset.
We have Eritrea, Kyrgyzstan, Myanmar.
Myanmar. I mean, these guys came up with a statement.
Can you equate us with those nations, economically?
No, I can't. But my point is this. Off the backs of what you just said. Now, these nations made very stern statements saying that, this is unacceptable, you didn't inform us before, we thought we would have a dialogue, we thought we were partners. And then coming back to Nigeria's statement we got was more of a passive one, saying, okay, no problem, this is your decision. We'll have a committee, we'll then sit, and then we'll come out with the findings, and then we would. I mean, for me, it was quite embarrassing, okay, because that wasn't what I expected. I expected something quite stern and something quite reactive. And saying it as an excuse that we weren't informed before it was decided and announced, I think it is quite upsetting, owing to the fact that even the US government also said that they had informed the government of Nigeria a few months before, and even if there wasn't an official...
Do you think a few months is enough?
Okay, so this is it. If they've had the knowledge of it a few months before, the question is what actions were taken. Okay? Now, I'm also choosing not to dwell on if we're banned or not, if we can travel or not. I think the time has come for us to look inward, like you rightly said, because, I mean, this is 2020. Knowledge is everywhere. We're moving at the speed of light globally. What are we doing internally to ensure that we can get things done right at home without having to go outside? It's a global, the world is a global stage right now. Do we really need to go there to get certain things done? Yes, some things, but must we? No.
All right. Dio, look, reactions to this.
Yes.
Some said Nigeria should have been more
aggressive.
Nigeria should have been shown more, actually kind of shown more resentment to this kind of, step America has taken, considering, the stakes that, America has in Nigeria.
I think it's just rhetorical, positing, as far as I'm concerned. Look, we have a government with a position which is very clear. They're very passive. They're very slow to react. It's kind of government that, the time lag between the problem being presented and the problem being solved is just, everything's gone wrong. And by time they're solving the problem, another one has emerged. They are a very passive government. They are not they're not a critically effective government either. Because, I mean, they would have reflected ahead of time and they would have looked at these problems. Now, basically, what America's claim is that they need a data system that gives them the opportunity to anticipate the challenges that are going to come from Nigeria. If that is all they're asking for, the question is, why hasn't the government done that ages ago? The passporting systems, I mean, all the immigration systems around the world, we have Interpol, you have immigration systems and their unions, they have groups where they exchange information. We know what the standards are, we know what the requirements are, we know what the security requirements are. So whether America makes the excuse or does not make the excuse is irrelevant. The question is, this government itself is a very passive government. Like I said, they are unable to articulate the challenges that we have. It's very evident. Look at from herdsmen's problems to, I mean, just name it. It's a slow-paced response to everything. I mean, 4 years into the killings, and then somebody wakes up one morning and says, well, okay, I'm Motekun, from one end of it, because the center has failed completely. This is the consistent narrative of this presidency and this government. What do you expect from them? Nothing they do is disappointing as far as I'm concerned. That's who they are.
All right, let's take a look at, let's take a clip from the reaction, Nigeria's reaction to this by a Minister of Foreign Affairs. Let's take this clip and we will be right back.
You know, of course, a lot of people back home in Nigeria understood it and put different interpretations and different spins on it. But it's, you know, essentially very straightforward, and it was very gratifying to come here speaking to U.S. officials and to understand more clearly the reasoning behind this. And, you know, essentially, you know, their security measures that were taken, you know, with regards to passports, electronic passports, lost and stolen passports, data, you know, being shared, criminal histories being, you know, made available and shared. Known terrorists and suspected terrorist information also being made available. And, you know, we've identified all those requirements, and we had actually started working on all of them. And, you know, and we know, and the U.S. Officials have also confirmed that we have been able to tick most of those boxes. With regards to lost and stolen passports, we're putting in place the architecture that will now make that the information and the data on that immediately available to the U.S. and all the member states and member countries of Interpol. And we hope to have that up and running, you know, very soon, and no longer going through third parties. And you know, hopefully, once that has been achieved, we look forward to being taken off this visa restriction list. But you know, really have to say, Secretary, that we do appreciate very much and value very much the cooperation between our two countries in very important areas for us. And the Binational Commission, we've identified you know, very clear basis to move that on and progress. And we really look forward to seeing a lot of gains, win-wins for our two countries.
All right, Nigeria's Foreign Affairs Minister, they're trying to actually give Nigeria's reaction to the visa restriction that was imposed on Nigeria, which has taken effect. And yes, many say the reaction showed that Nigeria was ill-prepared for this, and we could have averted this if we had done something. Dipo, what's your position? Do you buy that?
Yes, I do, and I buy that 100%, because like I said, while that clip was going on, I don't expect that it was the morning of when the announcement was made, okay, that the Foreign Ministry of the Federal Republic of Nigeria got to hear of it. That couldn't have been the first time they heard of it. It is impossible, okay? Aside from the fact that the US said they had sent some memo to the Nigerian government informing them of the possibility of that happening and stating certain things as criteria to put in place to ensure that it didn't happen. That aside, okay, in diplomatic circles, there's such a thing called back channeling. It is not illegal. It is not unethical.
It's diplomacy,
It
right?
is diplomacy, okay? So how do you tell me that in over 6 months since this thing has been on the tables or they've been having these talks in the United States, for some reason, no single member of your ministry has been able to get wind of it, both here and even in the embassy in the United States? You're telling me that nobody got wind of it. And then it was the morning of the announcement, you heard of it on the news like everybody else did, and then you're throwing tantrums.
All right.
Well, you weren't even able to throw any tantrum anyway, because you just accepted it and you said, okay, that is fine. If that is your decision, we will take it like that.
There was
We're supposed to be
no opposition.
no
per se
opposition,
to this.
nothing. We're supposed to be key partners with the United States on this continent.
Okay.
It is quite embarrassing.
We're supposed to be linking up with a Nigerian in diaspora, and she is Anna Adikpoju, who's supposed to be an immigration consultant, foreign recruitment services. Anna, are you with us? Hello. All right. Okay, we're trying to establish vocal contacts now. We can see you, but we can't hear you. Let's try and sort this out. Anna is a foreign, an immigration foreign recruitment services consultant, and she lives in Dallas, Texas. Hello, Anna. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, fantastic, Anna. We're talking about the travel restriction on Nigeria. Being a travel consultant, what has been the experience over there? You're in Dallas, right?
No, I'm in Minnesota.
Okay, Minnesota. Okay, correct. Tell us, what is your take and how is this affecting what you do as a travel consultant, an immigration consultant?
Yes, firstly, some Nigerians do not really understand the deep effects of this ban. So some of them believe it's just the B1, B2, that's the non-immigrant visa.
Okay.
So, and some are bringing in jobs for us to filing for trying to petition for their parents, their siblings, and were unable to do it. So it's when they bring in the job like, oh, I want to petition for my mother or for my child, my son or my daughter in Nigeria. Then we'll say, oh, no, we can't do it now, not until the ban is lifted. And they get mad. Wow. We thought it's only people who are visiting. We said, no, non-immigrant is not affected. The B1, B2, the J visa, F1 visas, they are not affected. But the immigrant precisely, they are the ones that are being affected. Then we have a lot of jobs filing in for family work visa. We have a type of work visa, the L1, the religious visa, all those, anything that can lead to immigrant visa. We just keep telling them, you need to hold until this ban is lifted. So it's really affecting the job we do at the moment.
Okay, what the U.S. government says these restrictions have been put because of security issues. And the reports say Nigerians are one of the most thriving, most prosperous, if I may put it that way, and hardworking immigrants in the United States. What is your take? What are Nigerians saying to this?
Well, firstly, I think to me, or in my own opinion, I don't think it has anything to do with the security related, just the way they said it. But at the same time, sometimes when they do biometric for Nigerians, the fingerprinting aspects, they always realize, like here in the US, if somebody has committed an offense, for instance, in the state of New York, and the person is in Minnesota right now, the system will see every record of this person. But in the case of a Nigeria, when you claim to live in Lagos State and probably you've committed some offense in Ondo State, Ekiti State, there is no system telling us who exactly you are. So this is when they do our biometry, it does not give us any information about your person. So they feel frustrated. So it's just like Nigeria does not have a system where they are able to know who exactly you are, what you have done in the past 5 years, in the past 10 years. So that's what I think is, so Nigeria needs to work more on putting an extra security on the citizen of Nigeria.
All right, before I let you go, Anna, I'd like Dayo or Dikmo to have a go. You have maybe one or two questions you'd like to ask Anne before she, signs off.
Okay.
Would you like to go first? Because
Go ahead.
I mean, so for me, it's not really about a question. It's just I feel outraged. Okay, I feel outraged. Either we don't have the necessary data in place to ensure that things like this do not happen, and we've been screaming about this data for years, talking about synchronizing everything we have. You have your PVC, your international passport, your BVN, your all sorts, like 5 or 6 across board, and then they're not synchronized.
It seems we're being forced now to do that which
and
we were ought to do in the past.
I think that's the good part. That's why I said that's the good part.
So
I mean, now we're forced to look at our systems and to review them, and that's a great part of it.
So more of a blessing in disguise.
As far as I'm concerned, yes. And listen, like I said, this government is very, very questionable. They are very mediocre, very mundane people. And I know this because I know people that have had to advise them at certain points in time, very knowledgeable people, people that have worked for the World Bank, for the United Nations, and they have advised them categorically. When was Nigeria's educational data computerized? I mean, it took over 40 years of JCC meetings for them to computerize educational data. So imagine, these are things that could have been done years ago. And they went into arguments and debates, and Nigerians kept saying it couldn't be done, it couldn't be done, it couldn't be done. Look, as far as I'm concerned, it's an indictment on the government itself, on the system that is being run, on a system that says, look, we're going to change things, we're going to make things better, and they don't have a clue of what that means.
All right, let Anne go right now. Thank you very much, Anne, for joining us on The Agenda. It's been great listening to you and hearing live and direct from the United States where this is, where Nigerians are worst hit by this. I'll let you go right now. Thank you for staying with us. Looking at this whole scenario, a lot of, statistics came out, made us feel proud about being Nigerian, especially coming from foreign media. Talking about 2018 reports that Nigerians are more likely to be STEM workers. We're talking about those in science, technology, engineering, or math. Meaning that they have significant spending power. Yes,
and interestingly, this data has been consistent for like a decade. Okay, and so for me, it's when you put these figures side by side and what the US is saying and what the actual data on ground is, you see that they really don't match up. Because if you're saying you don't want immigrants from over here to go over there, the ones over there, what is the data saying about them? We know what the data is saying about them. So why would you say that you really do not want more of those people that will add value to your system? We have Nigerians in the State Department, we have Nigerians in the Department of Defense.
We have Nigerians in NASA.
Nigerians in NASA, in critical parts of government, doing fantastic things. Now, this has come out, and I mean, all of this is really just showing how weak we are on the continent and on the global stage. Because if you've been informed of certain things to come months before, we're saying, okay, get this done, try to have this done, and then you essentially done nothing about it. And they still go ahead to put you on the kind of list that we're on right now. Like you said, can we compare ourselves to Eritrea and these other nations? And then we're still together with them.
Can I interject?
It's really just, it does say a lot.
Can I interject?
Dayo, you'll say what you have to say,
yes.
But for now, we'll be taking some Nigerians, their reactions when we come back, but we'll take a quick break. Agenda will continue, so we'll just have to pay some bills, and we'll be right back.
Are you interested to know the importance of your words? How to activate the creative power in your words? How to say the right thing at the right time? Find out in this insightful masterpiece by Pastor Chris. Discover the principle of creation and recreation.
If you're going to live the true life that God has given to you, you must line up with the Word of God. This is where the ministry of the Spirit of God is indispensable, because it's the Spirit that actually knows the codes. Hear this. You can't just prophesy. You're going to prophesy as He commands you. You need the codes. God, I need the sound code. I need the sound code. Hallelujah. I need the sound code. Once you have the sound code and you give it, creation will respond to you. Glory to God.
Tap into the wealth of divine principles and live in the future of your dreams as you learn the workable principle of sound code and the Spirit. This message is now available on DVD in a 2 volumes and 4-part series. To place your order, kindly call the following numbers now showing on the screen, or you can visit www.christembassy.onlinestore.org or download through the Pastor Chris Digital Library app, available on Google Play Store and Apple iStore. You will be glad you did.
We won't take it away from them. There have been some issues I've raised in the past as to what is things happening in our foreign missions, the way we issue visas abroad. There's no real synergy between the foreign missions and the immigration in Nigeria at our various border posts. That's a reality. But now we ought to have moved to a stage where our visas will carry pictures of the traveler. Our visa is still the whole visa system with visa number that cannot even be properly controlled from our entry points. Now I can see that they are trying to do something now. There is a biometric system going on there. But at the end of the day, it's not just about collection of data, it's about what you use the data for. We have several data that we've collected so far. The driver's license data is there. The Nigerian passport data is there. That is the one from the road safety there. The Nigerian National Population Commission for birth registrations are there. For the census, they are there. So the fact is that, have we been able to bring all this data together, including the one that the bank are custodian of, which is the one for the BVN, and one for the telecoms, which is under the NCC. So we need to bring all this data together and then begin to use it, for security, for economy, for planning. That is when the data will be meaningful. But for right now, it's all about more motion, no movement.
There are so many reasons to ban or to embrace Nigeria. But embracing Nigeria is actually also accepted globally based on the fact that we're one of the most intelligent black living generation in the globe. That was supposed to be a plus for us. But it's also a demerit for us in the sense that we do not have a national data to be able to identify A from B. And at the same time, we become a major threat because we did not control our own security. We do not control our security challenges here. We only see opportunity how to make money out of our insecurity. So we need to change our mindset. We need to think less of self and think more of the nation.
All right, that was some reaction coming from analysts there on the situation, the visa restriction. Apparently, we don't have much time on the show, which is really tough for me, but I'll allow my guests say 1 or 2 words before we go. Dio, let me start with you.
Like I said, you must understand that people view Nigeria from different perspectives. And we have 2 Nigerias. We have the northern Nigeria and we have the southern Nigeria, which is reflective of the people you're talking about that make up the positive aspects of America. Now, as far as they're concerned, all they see is the leadership, which is represented by the north, mediocre, lazy. The cutoff point for JAMB is maybe like 100 over 400. That's what is reflected of Nigeria. I wouldn't blame anybody who bans us. What we need to do is we need to review our systems in such a way that quality, process is the understanding, is the narrative. And that's not what we have at the moment.
Dikpo.
Yeah, so I would want us to focus a lot more on looking inward, as opposed to talking about what another nation is doing to protect their own borders, because it is well within their right for them to do that, okay? But what are we doing inward? I think the time has come for us to actually have a true sense of responsibility. The other time I was here, we talked about this, when we were talking about the AU and our place on the continent. Yeah. We still haven't gotten to the place where we have a sense of responsibility about our place on the continent and on the global scene. Understanding the fact that we have the largest collection of black people in one location. Understanding that we serve a critical stance to lead the race and to we're actually representing the race, either we like it or not. So either way that a black man is treated in the West or any other part of the world, we aren't even showing some form of leadership at home because we are representing them in the poor light. But until we are able to wake up and understand that we represent an entire race and an entire generation, I think we'll keep having these embarrassing episodes about, and it will always continue.
All right, with that, I can say that brings us home. I want to thank my guests for coming on the show. Thank you so much, Dikpo and Dayo. It's been great having you on the agenda. We will leave it on this. Discussion continues on social media. You can also hook up with us at www.loveworldplus.tv for your reactions, okay, and contributions to the show. Love to hear it. My name is Henry Williams, and as I always say, only Africans can build Africa. I'll leave you with soundbite coming from a conference at the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, Franca Ator. She shares her view on Nigeria's foreign policy thrust. Until then, see you same time. Bye-bye.
The Buhari government has not done badly, but at the same time, we cannot say it has done fantastically well, in the sense that the foreign policy seems to be anchored on pragmatism. It is devoid of any form of doctrine, okay? And when a foreign policy is devoid of any form of doctrine, it does not set in place more or less like a benchmark, you know, within which to score. The government has been scoring positives in a number of areas. At the same time, it has not scored very well in other areas. And that's what we're saying, that a place like the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, just like you have the Chatham House in London, should be more or less like the anchor place for foreign policy. This is a place like the kind of thing we're having today, where foreign policy should be brewed, crafted, and then you hand it over to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to allow them to give it a bite and they eat it. But this is not what we're doing. Experts are not being made use of. Look at the whole papers that were presented today. If we had done this like say 3-4 years ago, it would have been the basis of our foreign policy. And then we can say that the foreign policy has a doctrine.
Issue on the African scene, the politics of succession in Africa, the crisis of stability and power. How critical is this?
Police arrested 4 people for the violence in Johannesburg, while 8 others were arrested.